Welcome to the Big Kickoff League of Ireland podcast with myself, Roy Shanahan, and Nathan Doyle as always. And just a reminder before we start that we are on YouTube, as you can see, but you may not know that we're also on every major podcast provider as well. And if you're watching us, go there and have a listen if you're on the move. And if you're listening to us, you may want to watch our ugly little mugs, Nathan, on YouTube. Oh, God only knows that. And I was saying, should I wear this top button up or open or closed? Or I'm not sure.
As you can tell, we're just such fashionistas, you know. We're so conscious about that. So, yeah, don't come here for your football tips. Come here for your little fashion tips as well. We'll sort you
so
out.
If anyone wants to comment on that, let me know. Top button open or closed. Okay. Now, Nathan, the first week of the League of Ireland football has been and passed. You made your way down to Tolka Park. The atmosphere looked great. It looked bitterly cold as well. So how was it on the terrace?
Yeah, brilliant to see. Even listening to people on the Shelbourne side of things, I've heard it being described as a Tolka Park of old, you know. Looking at the atmosphere building nicely, a cracking crowd that you're seeing there, both home and away. Yeah, it wasn't the best for the Pats fans standing behind the goal in the open, but in fairness, the weather was definitely a lot less kind to other clubs around the country, with two or three games being postponed due to whatever the silly name and storm was. It wasn't Dudley. Dudley was the other one. Whatever. These storms are ridiculous. But
I can't remember them, Nathan. I can't remember.
I remember Dudley because
Franklin was the last one. Was it Eustace something
like
that?
Yeah. I legit only know it's Dudley because I'm a big WWE fan, so you know Dudley boys have to represent that shit. After that happened, anyway, it didn't put a dampener on at all. We are lucky enough with that aspect, but yeah, the atmosphere built absolutely really, really well. And to be fair, we got a good game of football out of it, even away from the boys' happiness of obviously Pats winning 3-0. You know, fairness to Shells, well, like everyone is, I'm sure they've seen the game by now, but you know, Shells, in fairness to them, 3-0, probably, if you were just to look at the result on paper, it wouldn't justify the performance. The first 15-20 minutes, I thought Shelbourne were excellent. They were definitely the better team out of the two, but just that naivety with a new team, new manager coming in, and the little bit of extra experience Pats had, particularly Chris Forrester in the second half, really took that game by the scruff of the neck and changed it. And yeah, look, defensive mistakes for the Shell point of view, but they'll improve, they'll move on. It's a good Shelbourne squad that you have there this season for mid-table.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting to see. Any other standout results that you see in First Division? Had some crazy results, didn't they?
I was just going to say, just the First Division as a whole, really. I was standing there at the game, getting some of the results coming in, and Jesus, I couldn't believe. I suppose the one for me, because I read somewhere, Roy, I think it could have been one of your gobshites hyping up Wexford. I don't know, it's going to be somebody else. That was a great result for Treaty, though, wasn't it?
Unbelievable.
5-1 away from home against Wexford. You know, it's a treaty side that, as well as they done last season, getting to the playoffs. Am I right in saying I don't remember them spanking anybody at all last year? And you know, they lost like Sean McSweeney, who was our top goal scorer last season, and even though he didn't score with buns of goals, but you know, some of the new signings, Enda Curran got on the score sheet, looked really impressive. Joe Gorman on the score sheet as well. So yeah, I think it was some of the First Division games that was a standout one for me. And I suppose you can't not talk about Cork City either. That was a great 6-0 win away from home against the Bray Wanderers, Cabinteely, the boys. And even again,
they just haven't gelled yet, Nathan.
No, the players haven't gelled, the clubs haven't gelled. Still haven't got a manager. Pat Devlin is sort of manager, not manager. But yeah, by looking at, and now we're going to get into the highlight show in a minute, man, but by looking at that, Dylan McGlade, if he can keep himself fit this season, he looked absolutely excellent on the night. So yeah, look, players like that will be a big X factor for Cork City this year if they want to find themselves back in the big time.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you said a few of the games called off due to the weather. I think snow on some pitches and frozen as well, so it just wasn't start to the season's always like that. Now seems we're into summer football. The first few games are in the middle of our winter, so yeah, you can expect that, I suppose. We're going to talk about the League of Ireland Highlights Show, because we've been calling out for a League of Ireland Highlights Show since the death of Soccer Republic, and on Monday night LOITV aired their first highlights package under the name the LOI Show. What did you make of it, Nathan?
I enjoyed it. Did you? First of all, did you watch it as well? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I watched it.
Happy days. That's here we go. Nice one. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a solid start. I thought if we're going to compare it to Soccer Republic, especially in its dying days, Soccer Republic was just half-arsed, 20-minute quick show. Was it perfect? No, it wasn't. While I was watching it, I just jotted down, what we enjoyed, what we didn't enjoy. Obviously, there's a beefy enough runtime, wasn't it? Of an hour and a half. That was nice to see. I thought good quality highlights, and the analysis was really good. Now, seeing the likes of Declan, Fabio O'Brien, Alan Keane, these are people that we can tap into. We've seen Conan Bourne, Graham Gartland, Johnny Mack, Pat Moore. These are all people that have been involved with LOI TV or watch League of Ireland before that as well. So, we have abundance of people that you can't tap into. The host as well, Oisin Langan, that's my first time being exposed to him. I, again, thought that the conversation between them three flowed nicely. The biggest, if I'm not going to look at the pros for a second, the biggest improvement for me was the First Division camera. We didn't get to see an awful lot of the games last year, but anything I did, it was absolutely horrific. It was difficult to even keep focus. So, looking at the camera on the First Division games, it seemed a lot more smooth, better focus. It actually followed the ball, which was a major big up from last year. But
and not the birds.
Not the boards, not the balls, Lions, man. But I suppose that's a good side. Is there any cons that we noticed? Because I did notice a few where, like I said, the show wasn't perfect, but it was definitely it was a welcome addition.
It's a live show, isn't it?
I've never caught that.
I think
actually.
It is, yeah, because I think the stream stopped at one stage. At the start
grand,
of
that
it.
was me. I have that down in my notes as well. It stopped on myself, but I didn't know if that was that to go to West of Ireland Wi-Fi kicking in.
Yeah, so I think it was a live thing. So it's brave to go live straight away. So that's the stream there. Did you see a delay in the sound?
I didn't. I'd say I thought that was fine. The only thing that I had was like that was cut out once. Do you know what as well? I thought it is now. This is a nitpicking at its finest. Trim down that intro. The intro went on for 2 minutes. Fucking hell, lads, calm it down.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, no,
that was straight away. Straight away off the bat, I was like, Christ, this is a long introduction.
And then they played at the end as well.
Yeah, which I don't mind. I'm gone at that stage. My laptop was turned off at that stage. It didn't bother me in the least. But like that, the production value within the studio was basic as it is. Again, it's a personal preference. I don't like when you're watching, like the Bray Wanderers game, for example, stood out. You're watching Bray and Cork, and you have two Bray Wanderers commentators. Yeah. I think you should mix it up. I think you should have one home, one away, or even one home and one neutral. I never did like the balance, even from watching the Pats games, as having two home commentators. But that's just a personal preference. But now, look, not getting the show into negative waters again. Now we do like to do that on here, Roy. I enjoyed it. It's great to have it back. It's great to have a substantial show back as well. Like I said, an hour and a half long. You could really get your teeth into it. Some really good analysis, and as well from the First Division, that wasn't just tacked on at the end. They bet through some of the games in terms of, they spent a long time in the Derry City Dundalk game at the start. I think they got like a half an hour segment, so they did have to run through a lot of the highlights. But in fairness, they went back, they watched them, they broke down the goals in the First Division game. So that was a nice welcome addition as well, because the First Division is usually just, here's what happened in the First Division segment at the end of every show.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I do think that there's probably some creases that need to be ironed out.
Of course.
But, I mean, it's great to have a League of Ireland package. Monday at 6, it's an odd time. Of course, it's going live, but then you can watch it at any time you want, so that's fantastic. So, listen, to have a League of Ireland package, to be able to see it is great. Now, we're going to go on to the League of Ireland paying structure for LOI TV, and this is something that's been bothering me, Nathan. The fact that you can't buy a season pass like you could last year. So this year it's game by game. So if you want to watch a match, I think it's €7, isn't it? €5 for the First Division, and then free for the Women's League, which is great because you need to promote that. So that should be free. But you can only buy it game by game. So if you want to watch all of your team's games, it could cost you about £252 to watch your team for the year. That's fine. But it's such a come down from last year when you could watch, and I know it was €138 or €139 or something like that, to watch every game. And I think that this season they should have had a season pass. Now, I'm not expecting it for €139. It might have been €300. It might have been €320. It might have been that it got broken down over, 3 payments or something like that if you wanted to watch the first third, the middle third and the last third of the season, whatever. But I do think that they should have given that option, because for me, when I was watching the league last year, I was getting so much information about each team in the league. And if I wanted to drop in and watch whoever it was, Treaty last year playing against Bray, I could pop in, have a look at that game, or the last half hour is on. I could pop in, watch that game, and I know I'm after giving money in because I'm paying my season pass, but I'm getting to watch this now. Am I going to pay €7 to watch the last 20 minutes or 30 minutes of a Treaty and Bray game now? More than likely not now. So I'm going to miss out on a lot of League of Ireland football, where I've got more and more interested in what's going on in the First Division, and I've got more and more interested in certain games that I wouldn't normally watch in the Premier Division, because I'm not willing to pay €7 for every game that I've watched, because that would cost thousands. So what's your thoughts, Nathan? What do you think about the season pass, and should it be there?
Yeah, I think it should be. I know everybody, fans consume their football differently. Like me and you, I 100% agree with you. I loved having the option when we were doing these podcasts, or even when we were doing the live shows during lockdown, because it boosts your knowledge, and you don't want to be coming on and bullshitting people. If people are good enough to give us their time and give us their energy to drop in and listen to our takes on the League of Ireland, you want to give them the best possible knowledge on the product that you can. And to do that, the season pass is absolutely vital, because I'm the same as yourself, where from a St. Pat's point of view, I'm always going to pay the money to watch my own team play, but I'd rather give that extra, like you said, for example, if it was €300 for a season pass, I'd be more inclined to pay that, so I can, if there's a game on, Friday night, Pats are playing Friday, I watch Pats on Friday. If there's a game on Saturday, I watch the Saturday game. If there's a game on Sunday or Monday, whatever day of the week it may be, you have the option to click on and watch no matter who the team is playing, where even though it's only €5 or €7, it's some people are just not financially in a position to throw that willy-nilly, to watch random teams play that they have no affiliation to at all. So yeah, I was sad to see the addition of the season pass go away this season. I don't know, the highlight show for me, it softens the blow a little bit, especially considering that's free. All you need is a LOITV registration, so you can still go on and keep up in terms of who's scoring, who's playing well, and you can get that bit of analysis. But I don't know, I just noticed the way I like to consume my football is to sit down. I'd much rather watch a 90-minute game and form my own opinion than watch a 30-second clip of a first division game and have, not to disrespect Alan Keane or Fabio O'Brien, but have them tell me who played well and what happened, because, it's football is one of them sports, it's so subjective that what you see could be different to what you see, and yeah, there's a beauty in it, and I really was ashamed to see it go. Great to see LOITV remain, even though we're finding ourselves out of lockdowns and things like that, and long may that continue. But yeah, it's for overseas fans, for fans like ourselves that want to watch, teams that necessarily we don't support to have an affiliation to play games. Yeah, it is a shame to see the season pass go by the wayside, because by the looks of things, by early doors, there has been improvements made in LOITV, and I think when people see them improvements, they will be more inclined, to say, right, a season pass is €300. We'll pay it, especially if you can pay it over like a subscription basis, or you can pay it, like you said, in installments, in blocks.
You don't mind paying more. That's not a problem to me. If I'm thinking, listen, you're going to pay £400 to have a season pass instead of 252 that you can see your own team or whatever it is. Yeah. I'm willing to pay that, because I know that I'm going to get to watch all these games, and I love watching all these games. And listen, if you look at Manchester United and you watch Paul Pogba's highlights on YouTube, you think this player is a phenomenal player. He's streets ahead of everyone in the league, and everyone knows better than that by watching him week in, week out, after, in the 90 minutes, that he's the most overrated player in the world. So that's what you want to figure out in the League of Ireland. You want to see games. You want to see how people are during games, how they're lasting for the 90 minutes. Are they getting getting taken off because of this, that, and the other. What's their habits, you know? So listen, I'm missing. I think really what I'm saying is I'm missing being able to go and watch those games, and definitely people can't afford to go and watch every game. So it's targeted at, I think, at the hardcore League of Ireland fans rather than the people who really want to watch a good wide variety, I suppose, of games. Anyhow, listen, I think we're both on the same page on that one. We'd like to see some sort of option there, whether the price is, you know, a little bit there or not. I think we'd like to see that. Now, we talked about Tolka Park. Nathan, you were there at the last weekend, and there's been lots of updates regarding Tolka Park. Run through them, Nathan, because there's quite a few.
There is a few, isn't there? I suppose the best place to start off would be that the club have met with the Dublin City Council officials on Friday before the opening game against St Pat's to discuss the proposed purchase of Tolka Park from the DCC. I said, look, the best way to keep it now, we're going to keep it short and sweet, you know, there's plenty of quotes that can be found online, but in essence, the Dublin City Council said that he will examine the proposal and that they expect more details from Shelbourne within the next fortnight. Now, that will be regarding finances and things like that. Now, I thought this was very timely, right? I don't know about you. I know you have your own info, your own thoughts. Feel free to jump in. But there has been a seeming influx of money coming into Tolka Park now, as Shells have secured what has been quoted as a significant new investment. Looking that could be seven-sum figure. That was easy for me to say, wasn't it? Seven-sum figure. This has been something that's been rumoured back since, I think, November, since Damien Duff has come in, hasn't it? You know, that there's going to be a financial backing for Damien and for Shelbourne as a whole, you know, whether that be for the women's team or facilities in the background, or for this Tolka Park proposed buy-in to go ahead with. But yeah, I just thought that was timely that they would announce these ongoing talks with Dublin City Council to purchase Tolka Park, and then you see that they've announced that there's new investors coming into Shelbourne. By the way, them investors, if anyone's interested in that sort of thing, is Close Break Limited, which is a consortium of Irish and USA figures in business, finance, media and law. So like I said, there's going to be an investment of seven-sum figure, which would make them a minority shareholder within the club. So yeah, I'm always fascinated when you see things like timing issues, like not issues, but things like this time up as well as they have, because these things for me, they never happen by coincidence.
Yeah, and I think because Dublin City Council bought Tolka Park and then they were thinking about selling it off, I don't think they thought about the costs until that happened. And the costs of running a League of Ireland, they're incurring those costs now, because they have to pay security, guard of presence, all that sort of stuff on the day. Of course, there's electricity and etc., staff and what have you. So to run a League of Ireland team isn't cheap, and I think Dublin City Council found out that the hard way, and now because Shells have made that interest known, I think they're only delighted to get rid of this now, and have said off the back of that daily amount will not be affected if they do sell to Shelbourne. So this is brilliant news. This is what we talked about at the start. Yeah. We hoped that daily amount and Tolka would get refurbishment. We said that would be the best case scenario. Looks like that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, it's great to have these two redeveloped grounds within the league. You know, I know they're in a very close proximity to each other in North Dublin, and there is other grounds around the country that's looking at going to get redeveloped. But yeah, it's brilliant to have it, and long may it last. I even think that it's another issue we talked about for quite a while now, is the capacity of the new redeveloped Daily Mountain Park. You know, really could be at a higher figure. All you have to do is look at the figures that's going on at Bohemians at the moment. They're breaking record sales with attendance. They're breaking record sales with season tickets. You know, if you could get Daily Mount, and I know it's not going to happen, it's a pipeline, but what a stage where you could get Daily Mount up to 8, even 10,000. They're going to come. The figures are there, and you know, it's not unrealistic to say that we're seeing figures to back that them sort of statements up. And yeah, it's just a shame we're not seeing it. And also, you know yourself, for working with Dublin City Council, you work at an absolute glacious pace in terms of, you know, planning and building the development stages and things like that. So that's the one thing you'd hate to see happen, wouldn't you? That things like this get held up for the next decade or so, and they're just being stuck in limbo. So, yeah, I think it is. I think the Dublin City Council would be absolutely delighted to see this proposal and interest go in by Shelbourne. And it is, you know, and rival fans from Shells will always have the demolished Tolka Park chants and stickers going up. But for the league as a whole, to have two redeveloped stadiums on the go, and there's such a historic grounds as well, you know, and I could say that fairly comfortably as someone that's not a fan of either club, you know. Doyle and Tolka Park, they're one of the two of the most famous grounds in League of Ireland, you know, so to see them get the facelift that they badly need, you're just hoping it's something that's not stuck in limbo for the next 10 years, and we can see it in their lifetime. That would be nice, I think. They think that's a reasonable request to make, but Dublin City Council, it's tough to see.
Yeah, and fair play to the Save the Tolka Park campaign, who must have put an awful lot of pressure on to see this outcome arrive. They've done a brilliant job. They haven't taken their foot off the pedal at all. They've been vocal all the way through, and at the start there was many people out there slagging them and slating them and saying it's never going to happen, get over it, Tolka's a kip and all this sort of stuff. You seeing yourself on Friday night, Nathan, it's a place where an unbelievable atmosphere can be created, and if that's refurbished, there is definitely room for two decent stadiums in Dublin City Centre. Yeah,
definitely, it really is. You know, these are grounds that you should be holding close, and if the option is to do them up, by all means do it. You know, like I said, we're seeing proposed plans in Sligo, Finn Harps. You know, I'd love to see the two Loud clubs get refurbished. It just makes the league more attractive. You know, which that was the one thing. If you were looking at Tolka Park on Friday night, great atmosphere, great crowd showing up, great standard of football. It was just the surrounding facilities that let it down. So if we can get them up to scratch, we could be onto a winner, and it's going to entice more people down. It really, really is.
Yeah, and when we were looking at Dundalk at the weekend against Derry, the atmosphere there was unbelievable as well. It was rocking, and I seen it was a tweet. I can't tell you who the fellow was, and it was his first time being at Oriel Park. He was a Derry fan, and he said, I was told that this place was going to be rocking tonight, and it wasn't a letdown, but it looked like that, you know. And of course, no flares, no party, isn't that what they say? The flares were flying around the place, but the atmosphere looked great. And this is something that you're seeing with the League of Ireland. With COVID, off the back of COVID, the League of Ireland seems to have caught fire a little. You look at Shamrock Rovers and UCD. Shamrock Rovers, on one of the coldest nights of the year, it was absolutely Baltic that night, playing UCD at home, had 5,000 at the game. That is huge, isn't it? So, you know, it's
even the Derry Shamrock Rovers game this week is sold out already ahead of time. You know, that's going to be a massive one. Shout out even to the lads that went to the Bray Wanderers and Cork City game. That looked like an absolute brilliant atmosphere. Same again. I do agree with you. I said that when the FAI Cup final tickets were being seen, the figures, you know, over 40,000. A lot of that has to do with coming off the back of COVID. People have been starved of football. But even coming into this season, Roy, I don't know about you, I don't remember it being so much anticipation and hype around a League of Ireland season, and not even only from people like ourselves. We're always going to champion the league, we're always going to be excited about the league, but mainstream news outlets were really hyping them up. And I know they had the likes of Alan Cawley coming on, and again, these are League of Ireland men and women that are always going to do that. But I felt from as an insider point of view that has been, you know, seeing the league constantly be slated, constantly be slagged off, there was a massive amount of hype coming into the season. Like you said, we did see that across grounds in the opening weekend, and now it's just keeping a hold of these people, as many of them as you can, because you're not going to keep a hold of all of them, and that's just realistic at the moment. But it's keeping a hold of as much as you can, keeping the interest, keeping the atmosphere building, and seeing the likes of Tolka Park and Dalymount get refurbished, making them more attractive, making them more eye-catching, and other grounds around the country. These are all the things that are going to help that to make our league grow, because I do agree, it's brilliant to see the anticipation and the love that the league has been getting over the past couple of weeks.
Absolutely. Now, one thing I want to finish off on this, I never even factored this in, but it just popped into my head. One thing that's really bothering me about the league this year, we know that Bray and Cavan Thiele joined forces together to make an absolute muck team that got beaten by Cork City 6-0 this week. The grand plan out the window, albeit I'm only messing. But 9-team league, one team having a game off each week, you know, that's it doesn't look well. It doesn't sit well.
No.
You've had games called off last week, and now someone else is going to miss out a game this week. And if there's games called off this week, could it be a team that could miss out on 2 and 3 weeks in a row? It just doesn't look right, and they should have done something to get another team in. And I wouldn't have cared if it was a Shamrock Rovers B or whatever. Just get a team in there so it's even, so to make sure that that everything was all right. That the team, you're going to lose out on match practice. You're missing out each week where other teams are playing like 4 or 5 games in a row, and you're playing catch up. So I would like to see. Make sure that doesn't happen again, basically. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I agree with you. It's not really a good look for the league that we can't fill up 10. Wouldn't have been a massive fan in the past of B teams coming into the first division. I'm all for it if you're talking about a third tier coming in down the line, but just as a placeholder, because let's be honest, the Bray Cabinteely deal, it was I'm sure it was a last minute behind the scenes. These plans have been in the work, but announcements were quite last minute, so it would have been a bit of a last minute struggle to get somebody in. We've seen it a couple of years, a year or so ago, when there was new teams popping up to come into the first division. So if you could have got now Shamrock Rovers be the obvious choice, but yeah, I wouldn't be a fan.
Just to fill the gap.
Just get it in for this year, and then give another team. Like we said, we've seen Kildare County hinting to a League of Ireland return. So give the likes of them, a year to set themselves up feasibly. Like, you don't want to see them rushing into the first division and dying a death after a year or two. Where, let's be realistic, Shamrock Rovers B, they can go in, hold the gap for 1 year. While not the biggest fan of it, but in these circumstances, I don't think you would have got many. Well, you fucking would have got many, actually. I'm going to scrap that sentence I was going to say. But you know what I mean. Like, I think people would have been a lot more understanding to why, if you were to throw a Shamrock Rovers B into the first division this season.
Yeah, of course. And you told them, listen, it's only for the season. That's it. It's to help the development of the league. That's it. Yeah. Okay, Nathan, we're going to finish off with the fan question. The fan question's back again, so we're all chuffed with that. Tell us what the fan question is this week.
Yeah, my baby has returned. Because I got a bit upset. Nobody was asking for the return of fan questions, so I go, that's it. That's my one contribution to the show, dead in the water. But yeah, fan questions are back. And we need fan questions, so get them in. Nathan Doyle, Roy Shanahan, on any social media platform. The Big Kickoff social media platforms. Roy, you're much more professional than I am. What's that email address that the good people can send?
Okay, so you can send them in to the Big Kickoff 96.4 at gmail.com, but you can also send them in to our Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever. We're out there. Type in the Big Kickoff, you'll find us.
All that good stuff. So yeah, get them in, because we've been saved again, Roy. Our good friend Ronan Gavin reached out. I think Ronan's on every second.
You must have pestered him.
The poor fella doesn't get a wink sleep at me texting him. Alright, pal, how's the family? Come here, bit stuck again this week. And in fairness, he's pulled it out of the bag. Ronan, I owe you a point, mate. I think Ronan's a Drogheda fan. I think that's what he said before.
Okay.
Anyway, fair play, Ronan. Ronan's question this week was, what's your favourite League of Ireland rivalry that isn't a Dublin derby?
Ooh,
it's a goodie.
Well, yeah, it is. And listen, I said to you before we came on, like, I'm not a League of Ireland historian. I don't know all the ins and outs of the things, but I mean, the first one that stood out to me, and nearly stands out to me more than Shamrock Rovers and Bows, does be the Finn Harps and Derry City. It's so intense every time you hear them talk about the games, and the atmosphere does be great when you're listening to it on the telly, because I haven't been up there to watch. I've been up in Finn Park before, but it wasn't a Derry City game. But it just sounds a little bit special, and it sounds there's a little bit of a bite, and it sounds like a real sort of local derby where you can have some couple of Dublin teams, and it's just they're from Dublin, but there's something. There's a little bit of a snarl and a bite and we mean that we want to kick your arse here today. So I've always liked that. I'm always fascinated by that game. I think that's a great duo. And did you spot it?
Yeah, I have a different one. Dundalk and Drogheda, the Loud Derby. I think that's a bit of a doozy. Same again, it's all about proximity. You look at, like, again, I live in Sligo. The Northwest Derby would be him and Derry, which is fucking an hour and a half drive away. You shouldn't have to drive over an hour to get to your derby game. So the proximity for me be a big one. Like I said, people, I know a lot of lads from Dundalk through the head in the game. They fucking hate people from Drogheda. I know people from Drogheda fucking hate them. Dundalk as a whole. So there is that bite there. Now, funny enough, it's in terms of, I know you said about the historian factor. It's actually not that, like, not saying it's not the historic of a game, but compared to other derbies, they've only played like 100 times or so in the league, which would be a good bit less than, like, you know, some big Dublin derbies, or even, I think, Finn Harps, and I could be wrong there, but I know by looking at some of the figures there, they didn't quite match up, but yeah, there's always a great bites, and always a great atmosphere. Even if you watch, like, they have the curtain raise or the Jimbo and Cup, that has always been an absolute cracker to watch. Yeah, I suppose if you're looking at other ones, it was sad to see just by the name alone. With Bray and Cabinteely coming together, we got to lose the El Dartigo. That was that what
it's called, the El Dartigo?
El Dartigo. Well, it could have been, yeah. If it wasn't, it should have been.
It should have been, but it's. I'm not sure it's up there, is it?
it's not. No, it's not quite up there with Glasgow or Manchester or Liverpool, but you know, it's there. It's a derby. Yeah. It's on the dart line. Same with Patton Rovers. Patton Rovers is known as the Lewis Derby.
Is it? Do you know what? Do you know what I'd like to know? I'd like to know, because I know obviously Cork and Cove are in the same area, but I haven't seen a Cork and Cove game. So I'd love to know how tenacious they are in a game like that. How serious? Obviously they're serious about winning the games, but is there any hatred? Is there any kind of bite in those games?
Actually, an interesting thing you mentioned, Cork. I'm the same. If anyone in Cork is listening in, please answer this question: is the Cork City and Cove like derby game bigger than the Cork City and Treaty or Limerick of ours? Yeah, I wonder, is the Cork derby or the Munster derby, the big Munster derby? I know you have like Cork and Waterford, but it's the same, fucking miles away.
Sometimes I get the feeling that Cork kind of dismiss Cove because they're just an annoying little cove that's in the background there, and I always got a feeling that the Cork and Treaty on Limerick in the past were always bigger occasions, especially because you would have seen them in. Or it was bigger for Cove than Cork.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose that goes back to what was about the Dundalk and Drogheda thing as well. It's just because they didn't play each other, because they always were in different divisions for a long time. Yeah. Drogheda would have been more successful in the past, where we're seeing the Dundalk resurgence in the past number of years. But yeah, it's just for me, it's all about proximity when they're talking about these games. You shouldn't have to go too far for a derby. But yeah, when the time of year, especially this season, where are we going to get a bit fed up with Dublin derbies? Because there's nearly half of the Dublin teams, it's going to be Dublin derbies. I think by looking at the Pats fixtures, and that obviously goes for every other Dublin team, they're going to be playing each other 16 times. Yeah,
I do think that the leagues need to be bigger. What are we on now? 10? I think 12 would help that. And if it was 2 leagues of 12 and a league of 10 for a third tier, or even another league of 12 there, you might eventually start getting a good mixture of clubs that are playing. Now, we have had over the last couple of years, it just happens to be this year that there seems to be a lot more Dublin teams in it this year, because of the fall of Cork City, I suppose, is one of the big ones.
And Munster football as a whole, really. There is
and
look at Shamrock Rovers are the most southern team in the league, in the Premier Division.
Yeah,
crazy.
Mental. So, anyhow, yes, maybe this year, but I'm sure that'll turn around now next year. It'd be interesting to see who makes their way up next year, because if Treaty have anything to go by, it looks like they're going to push on this year. I'm very excited to see if they do. Okay, listen, we're going to leave it there, Nathan, because we're running out of time. Thanks very much, Nathan. Thanks very much for everyone watching. Top button or not, let me know. And anyone who's listening to the podcast, thanks very much for your time.